Okay, so hello there, welcome. Welcome to the second Aita International Amateur Theatre Association Online Theatre Festival. Theatre is my love, that long and easy title for this event. My name's Aled Rhys-Jones, I'm the current president of the International Amateur Theatre Association, and I'm joining you today from Cardiff in Wales. The event is held in collaboration with the Russian and Estonian Centres of Aita and the Central European Committee and the Northern European Amateur Theatre Alliance. Once again, we're all very much indebted to the work of Alla Zorina and the Russian Centre for shouldering the responsibility of running the festival, alongside our Secretariat, Anne Gilmore, and thank you for the skillful technical administration of our friend Artem Sergeyev, who's running things for us from somewhere in the Urals. Thank you, Artem. Over the past 4 days, we've enjoyed 4 plays performed by children and young people. And then from tomorrow until next Sunday, we'll have 7 productions from adult theatre companies: Singapore, Poland, Australia, Slovakia, Latvia, Russia, and Iran. And the festival will close on Sunday with a discussion of the performances with a panel of experts: Maria Laksavirta from Finland, Togi Tryggvason from Iceland, and Tiasa Krinios from Slovenia. That session on Sunday will be immediately followed by a forum on the theme, like today, International Amateur Theatre Festivals After COVID and International Dialogue, all facilitated effortlessly, gosh, by Dirk de Koort. Anyway, but back to today. For the second event of this online festival, we wished to add to the festival a program for children and youth. We didn't know what was going on out there, and we wanted to make sure that we were in some way facilitating some opportunity and some platform for discussion and dialogue. So over the last 4 days, we've seen productions from Malaysia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Russia. And I think we've got representatives of all those companies here this afternoon. We're grateful to Kevin Dowsett, to Sophia Vegelius and Carol Thomas for their work in selecting these plays to be included in the Children and Youth programme. And they are also all here to open the discussion on the plays. So without any more chat from me, if I can hand over to Sophia Vegelius, Vice President of Aita IATA, to lead us into today's discussions. Sophia.
Hello, everybody, and thank you all for joining. I'm so glad to see you all here. Please feel free to interrupt anytime if there is something that's not working, or if there's some questions or something you want to comment. This children and youth work is something that is close to my heart, and it's also something that will be a big priority for the Council of IATA from now to the future. It's something we have been discussing already a lot about, and this will be also an interesting meeting for us to also hear a little bit about where IATA could maybe help, and what could be the advantages that we could offer for children and youth groups. So we're very pleased to have you all here. Without further ado, I think we should start with the plays, and Kevin here will yes, he's waving there, you can see him. Kevin we've divided a bit, so Kevin will sort of give the feedback, and I will ask some questions from each group afterwards about how you worked and thoughts about the process and so on. So we're very grateful for having the Malaysian people, that you have stayed up so late. We know that it's not it's getting late night for you already. So we have decided we will start with you, so that you are still awake when we discuss your play. So I give the word over to Kevin. You could tell a bit about the views on the Malaysian play.
Hello, everyone, and I'm speaking to you from the edge of London. And I've just got over a heavy cold, but at least I can't give it to you because we're in the virtual world. And that's the point of all this, really, isn't it? Because if you think about it, we are interconnected, but only digitally. And we all know what it's like and what it has been like. Alid said earlier on what's going on out there. Well, I think refreshingly what's going on out there is that young people, as ever, are making sense of the world, and they're making sense of that world through their art, and it takes different forms. And these 4 plays, I think, give us an opportunity to see the work of 4 very different directors, 4 very different styles, and I'm hoping that these thoughts will just draw together some thinking on that. So we're turning first of all to Seri Kencana. Oh, I got it right, Malaysia. And here we saw an epic tale in a huge theatre with massive resources, and what a spectacle, because here we have a story of drama, music, song, intrigue, battles, quite a lot of fighting, people dying,
Yes.
love, dance. I mean, it's like grand opera. It's epic, it's huge, and not only that, the space is used differently as well. So there are sometimes areas where people are raised in the air. So what I would say is all of life is here in all its forms. It is quite often tableau, and it is quite often within a structure that feels very tight. There's it seems to me that what we're seeing here is young people being given tools of how to approach their culture. So there is a feeling for dance and drama, intrigue, the spoken word, the moved word, the solo voice. All these ingredients obviously require some technical expertise. Fighting is another one. Stage fighting, as we all know, could be really dangerous unless it's done properly. But what we see here is a generation of young people being passed on the tools of these ancient stories from the past and allowing them to remake them in the modern times. And I thought that they worked really hard on that. They did it with some passion and some aplomb and some real pleasure. I could see the pleasure that they took from their performance, and that pleased me, because the one thing that I always take with me when I go to the theatre, whether that's in front of a screen or at a real theatre, is that my own life is running in parallel with what I am watching. And quite often I go to the theatre and I'm bored, senseless, because it doesn't speak to me, because I don't feel that I connect with it in any way. One of the refreshing things that I love about international theatre is that often I don't understand the words of what I'm being told, but I sure as hell get a sense of the feeling of what is being conveyed in the storytelling. And how interesting for me to experience something of Malaysia, not a country that I know much about. I've never visited it, and I don't know much about its history, I'm sorry to say. Maybe now I should. But what intrigues me is that you've found a space, a huge space, in which to tell an ancient tale, and you told it in such a way that these young people and the audience that was watching them, that I'm sure had many friends and family, and now the wider audience of our bit of the world has seen that as well. So I thank you very much for that, and those are my remarks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will also offer the possibility for Carol to speak, since he was one of us who was choosing the plays, if you like to say something.
Hello from Prague, from another place. I'm sorry for my English, it's not such a good. So I will try to speak with simple English. Yes, for me, for me it's always very interesting to see performances from for me, Far East, for you not. You are at home, and this kind of theater, I think, is your theater life. You know everything about it, and what could say to it a man from the heart of Europe. Yeah. I could say only this. The enthusiasm of children they played in your performance was like pandemia for me. I started to watch it several months ago at the selection, and I said to myself, what will be there? It's the same every time for me. No, I watched it all from the beginning till the ending, and yes, it was good to have the history synopsis of the play, but for me, I watched several similar plays in past years, but for me this one was for me the most communicative. I understood better than the adults, than adult group. For example, last year, or I don't know, more of them. Yes. So even if you know the story, you see such energy and enthusiasm for boys. They want to fight, but it has theatrical measures. For girls that want to be nice, like princesses and etc. But the story is there, and together with the story goes the energy and enthusiasm of children. So for this, thank you. I can't say much about the style, because it's not my style. So I am amateur for this. You are professional amateurs. But thank you for this performance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So thank you, Carol and Kevin, but could you tell us a bit about the process, about how this play came to life?
So this theater, good evening for everyone. We took 7 months to practice the dialogue, the acting, dance and martial art,
and also the singing.
Also the singing.
Although the singing is not very good, but but they did it.
So we bring the Aristotic theater because we want the younger generation in Malaysia know to aristocrat theater is something that rare perform. We try to bring the younger generation to know, appreciate, then perceive on one of the culture in Malaysia through this classical theater, and the script present is about the history of Malaysia.
Yes, thank you. That you certainly managed to do. It was a very beautiful and colorful play. There was a lot of dance, and you could see a lot of color, like was said. Are there dance movements and colors that have symbolic meanings within your culture?
Actually, it is a simple dance. It means
Basic.
it is a basic dance. It's what we
Traditional.
call Malay dance,
The traditional dance.
traditional dance of our dance.
Is it something that they learn from early childhood, or is it something they
No.
learn through you?
No, we taught them
Yeah. Okay.
in that
Very
7
good.
months.
For the show.
Only for the show.
For the show.
Only for this show.
Yeah.
So now they know for life.
Yeah,
Yes.
true.
Has international work been something that you have done? I mean, have this group traveled outside, performed outside Malaysia ever, or
Not yet, but
Not
we are
yet.
looking forward.
Oh, good.
But in 2019, we perform
Instrument stage.
instrument stage.
Okay.
But, it was adult performance, but the children not yet.
Okay. So now the dream, the plan is to take over the world.
Yeah, to Russia or Tumen for the next
To share
to share our
Yeah.
culture.
to share our culture, to bring our culture to outside.
Yes. Well, I'm sure that you will succeed in that, and you absolutely did that tonight.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing your culture, and
you.
it has been fantastic to see a part of Malaysia today. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of you.
All right, very good. Now we will move over to the play from Latvia. And I again give over my word to Kevin.
Hello. Right. Well, I enjoyed this production of Blow the Wind by the Youth Theatre Vini from Riga very much. I loved the interplay of music, ritual, words, storytelling. Everything here interested me. I have to declare knowledge of Inguna, who is one of the directors of this piece. I've known her for many years, but it's lovely to see your work here, Inguna. I'm sure you're going to tell us a little about how you created it. I found the drama so earthy, so dramatic, so driven by these terrifically powerful internal feelings. And after all, this is a play that's existed in Latvian culture for, 100 years or so or more. But it still speaks to us today. It's like Chekhov, it's for all time. It has a quality in it. I loved the enthusiasm, sorry, totally the wrong word. I loved the claustrophobia that you got from that space where all these people were pushed together. And after all, this is a tale of arranged marriage in a tight-knit, powerful community where people have very strong and powerful jealousies and feelings, like we all do in our lives with our communities. And they couldn't escape from that. And it was like a tight drum that was being all the time tightened ever more. But the elements of the storytelling I liked, but I particularly liked the power of the acting. I thought that the directors here had drawn out from these young people powerful performances. These performers were very alive with each other, and they were because of that, they listened and they allowed the events of the play to happen in real time rather than standing there and waiting to give their next line, which is often what you see with young people's work. These people had that sense of this thing is happening now. And as a consequence of that, I loved their acting because they were sharp with each other. And I'll give you an example. There was, when there's an interplay between men and women in this play, and there's a sexual current, a tension between the men and the women in the play, which was very well represented. But the men had a kind of brutality about them, which they expressed very easily and very well. They almost enjoyed being brutal, I think. But as another place to go to, there was also great sensitivity and tenderness. So we had this interplay between opposites, and for me that spoke about a good direction, because there's a transition from one thing to the other. These directors know how to make good theatre. It's quite evident from what you can see. I also liked their use of objects, cloths, the stick, the mugs, the bowl. All of these elements were used in a dramatic, almost ritualized way that drew us even closer into the story. So you had the sense that these people on this stage, in this claustrophobic atmosphere, owned this piece. They owned the feelings of the people that were in the story, and they made it to us. Because for me, at the end of the day, to create good acting, it requires an intensity of focus. I don't think most people have that intensity of focus. And even as a professional actor, you have to learn how to find that intensity of focus. Here we had a group of young people who already had that focus. So jolly well done. I really enjoyed your production.
Thank you, Kevin. And Carol,
Thank you.
would you like to? Ingona, do you want to respond?
No, just say thank you. Thank you. That it was, I agree with everything. Thank you.
Yes, so I give the word over to Carol.
I can say thank you too for the performance. As I watched it for the first time, I didn't know anything about the text, about the author, etc. And on the first time, I had the feeling I understood everything, almost everything. I understood that the girls work in a mill. I understood the river that has its position, its function there. And then I tried to read something about it, of course. And it was shame for me that I didn't know the author, because if you look for classical drama, Lithuanian, so the most classical piece is Blow the Wind, maybe. And it's like, yes, Kevin said it. It was written 1914. It's in Switzerland, in exile, where he also was, and he watched his piece many years later. Yes, and it's classic. It's a classical piece of drama of Latvia, and but we watched very modern piece, very modern shortcut, or not shortcut, better essence of the original play. Yeah, we watched the performance with very good artistic work, with movement, with lights, with singing, with everything in such compact form that it works all together. On the first moment, that time I didn't know about the play. I thought to myself, yes, it's something like Doña Bernarda House, or or something similar for me. And then I read the synopsis. I read parts of the former text. I read there is Czech translation of your piece. So I read the text of the song about the wind, etc. And it was for me more and more interesting. On the beginning, when the author wrote it, it was a piece of romanticism and symbolism in Latvian theater. But you give to this piece contemporary ideas. They are not only problems of love between I don't know Uldis and Baiba and Zane. I don't know if I
Yes,
got the names correct.
Right.
And
Correct.
Gatinch.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the servant, the lame servant. It's very, very interesting. There is not triangle of life. It's like a quadrangle of life. I don't know the word. And tragical ending of this when Gatinch saw Uldis and Zane, they are together, and when Uldis killed Gatinch, and Barba, I think she's drawn. She is there. I know.
She drowned.
Drawn. Yeah. And for me, it's the strongest moment of the plays when Uldis take the dead body of Barba and give it to the place where the dead Gatinch lies, and it's a moment of such peace and such that the love and interhuman connections are stronger for me than the society. Than a society that decided that their life was impossible. I don't know if I say it correct, but I think so. And I watched this on the scene. The concentration of young actresses and actors, and everything was for me very good. I have only two very small problems with it. The first one was that on the beginning, the monotony in the movement and in costumes of women was difficult for me to recognize who is who. It was in the first half of the performance, and then yes, I like the scenography, but the permanent or almost permanent blue light in the color that we know from LED lights, etc. It was irritating for me. Yes. The blue color was too like venom for me. so I have with it problem. For me, it was too much blue. I can't say it other ways. And then the problem of
Carol, I'm sorry, you're starting to break up. We have very hard hearing you now. The internet
Sorry.
is,
Sorry,
it's hard to hear you.
We don't hear.
Okay, Carol, sorry, we can't hear you, Carol, so I'll continue, and we hope your internet connection gets better so we hear you in a while again. We'll get back to you in a little while. Okay, so Inguna, we leave the word over to you. Like like Kevin already said, tell us more about the group, please, and about how you created this play.
This group, most of the group, was before we made one also very epic Latvian play, Aspasia, which she is wife of Rainis. So we did Vaidalote with this group, these girls mostly, boys was different. It was 2 years ago or more. So we even did out in Lithuanian International Festival with this play she saw. Oh, and we were very successful with this Aspasia play. So we decided to take also this Rani play. We have two very famous classical basic drama author poets. This is Ryan and his wife Aspasia. So, and they made they like Shakespeare in English stories, like they are in Latvian. So, and decided also other plays which are even more like popular or famous, but this play, it's written in poetry, like poetry style poems, and it's long plays, 5 acts. Like at that time they did long plays they wrote, and we cut it. Of course, we shorted to make it short to tell the story. We wanted to tell the story. Of course, we keep all poetry, and we were working long time because we started before lockdown. Even we did it, started, and then we stopped, and then we'd continue, and it was difficult. And we mostly took the summer, like summer we come every day and do the work. And so we wanted to make it really good, and we did it. Thank you, God, and thank you everything. But about the light, we didn't film it like we didn't shoot it for the festival. It was just performance, and we put the camera in one side and we shoot it. And of course, there is not very good to see all the characters and understand who is who. But I'm very glad that you anyway understand that all you say, this is right, correct, and it is so. And we are now we understand that this is good, that we can maybe make a real film, like where it will be possible to see voices and characters, and to have this like real documentary story, from this play, like, and the play, there are young people. That's why we can make young people. Mostly girls are 16, 17. Real young people play. Just mother was not young. She was after 30 years. She was playing a young girl in many 20 years ago when we made this work. So it's a big connection, because our theater now is 6 years. Okay. questions.
Yes, one more, because of you got so much compliments on the acting and the intensity of focus that Kevin talked about. Is this something you have focused a lot on, and how have you worked with the young people to emphasize this?
Yes, we started with text, reading text, and we focus on this relationship between characters, and then they understood, oh, these are not just words, there is something that can really happen with them and what it means, and they understood the meaning. Everything what they say, they understood, because they get all the story and they were in, so they focused and they wanted to do the best. Yes, we were working on it a lot. Yes.
Well done. Well done, you. It's time
Thank you.
for us to move over to the next performance. We will move now to Russia. And I, again, move the word over to Kevin. Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, so we should, from the actors theatrical group in Moscow, I very much enjoyed this piece. I found I love their openness to life and the world, because here is an example of creativity being at a high level. And what do I mean by that? Well, they play with the form of theatre. They understand how you take what you put into that space. Effectively, you tell a story, but you don't always tell a literal story. You don't always explain every single detail. You leave some spaces for the audience to bring their own minds to what they're watching and to make sense of it in some way. And I love the fact that there was time for us to do that in this piece, because so often we seem to live in a world where everything is driven by, you have to know everything that's going on. So I thought this was very refreshing. There was a lovely, well, a little similar to the Latvian play, in the sense that the girls expressed a kind of charming simplicity at the beginning with their dance, with their movement, with their flags. And then we were introduced to puppets that took us to another level, that enabled us to use our imagination and to put onto this story, to attach to it some kind of a meaning about who we're seeing this story through. And then we meet the boys, and the boys are very different. The boys seem to live in a world that's dragooned and controlled, and where there may be fear or surveillance, even where they're looking at each other. And as so often happens in these stories, you get one person who is alone in the world, and the pressures of the rest of the group on that one person. In this story, actually happened that two people were in that situation. But I love the fact that we went to a place where suddenly we embraced nature through the form of a tree, and all of the actors became, with very gentle movements together, expressive of the natural world that we live in. I thought that was a really charming idea. They were always interesting to watch, and I had a genuine sense that these people had really contributed to how this play was created, how it represented what they wanted it to say, and even how they were going to deliver it. I had the sense that the movement and the music and the storytelling was being partly directed by their ideas. I liked particularly the section at the end where we suddenly went into geometric shapes behind the action on the stage. And there were some beautiful images as these performers then took those images that were behind us in shadow play and then realized them for real in their own dramatic choreographed forms. So I thought this was a high level of operating, and I could see that the actors were, again, extremely focused on the task in hand, and that they took real pleasure with their storytelling to us. So well done, Moscow.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Carol, let's try if you're...
I will try. I'm sorry for technical problems. I will stop my video. Maybe it will be better. Less sources of computer and will be better. So, but I will be short. Such a creativity we saw in this performance. It's a very nice work with children. It's not only in first plan. It goes to other plans. It was for me. It was a poem or 3 poems on the stage. I don't know how it is in different parts of the world, but in Czech Republic we all know the poem by Charles Silverstein. It's in songs in different ways known, and but your performance, your part of performance by Silverstein was for me the best from these interpretations of the story about the tree and about the man. But the first story for me remains me my children books by children ages, and the third one was most difficult. But for me it was on the border of theater movement and visual art, and all together is a whole for me, and I thank you for it.
Thank you so much, Carol. So I have some questions now for the, do we have what present, the Russian group?
Валентина, у нас есть какие-то представители от российской группы?
Нет, их нету.
No,
Они не были 19-го, они не были 23-го.
Unfortunately, they didn't come on 19 and we don't have them today.
Sorry, я не понимаю, почему. И режиссера этого я не знаю. Театр раньше я тоже не знала.
I apologize for this. I'm not familiar with this theater group and with the director. Feel sorry that they are not here with us.
Sorry.
That's no problem. At least for all of you now, you found some new perspectives on when you look at the performance. But then it's time for us to move over to Lithuania. So Kevin, be my guest.
Thank you, Sophia. Lithuania, we were brought to a piece of work from a town. I think I'm saying it right, Kretinga, yeah, the youth theatre there. And this is a very unusual performance because there was a big interplay between a boy and a girl, and I had the sense that the girl was interested in the boy, but the boy was busy telling the rather dull story of the town. But there was interplay there, but then there was interplay between them and how the story was really told, which was behind the screen, using shadows and using light. And this took the play to another dimension because the performance was taking place in a large theatre, a wide theatre, a tall theatre, and a deep theatre. So they were playing with the dimensions of the space. Now, you might think that using shadow play, which I haven't seen a lot in my 50 years of teaching, but I have seen it, but you'd think it would be 2D and very flat. But actually, these performers managed to use the depth of the stage as well and get some very interesting images. The other thing I found really delightful about them was that they had a great sense of humor about what they were doing. They made us laugh, and they engaged us with what they did. Now, I loved some of the images. For me, these were the strongest and most powerful thing in the piece. I found the two characters talking at the front. a little bit dull, but there again, what they were asked to do was being a little bit dull, so it was okay. But what was interesting about that was that we were constantly coming back to these two characters. It gave us a break from the shadow play. If it was all shadow play and nothing else, we'd have nothing to contrast it with. So we came back to the two characters, and then suddenly it was all writ large again, which was lovely. I love some of the images, like the figure of death, like scattering the confetti, like the male-female relationships, you know, the way the man met his wife on the street, and the use of music there and everything. It was just a joy to watch, because we could see the humor. I have to say, I watched this play all the way through twice. The first time without the subtitles, and I didn't have a clue what the two young people were saying to each other, and I found it very difficult. Now, the second time that I watched it, when it had the subtitles, I completely understood everything, and I saw how what they were saying related to what happened on the stage. So whoever it was that put those subtitles on, thank you very much, because isn't this a real problem of international theatre? So often you don't, and my wife was watching with me actually, and she said, oh, why don't they, you know, it's not that difficult to get subtitles and these days. And I said, no, we mustn't be selfish though, because theatre has to communicate. Not always, you don't have the benefit of the language. And for me, I'm very lucky because I speak English, and English seems to be the language that is generally used in international festivals. Lucky me, because the funny thing is, English people are very poor at learning other people's languages, me included. But here, of course, the play speaks to you not only through language, and what was lovely about this was that it was speaking to us through movement and sound more than it was speaking through words. In fact, the movement and sound and the images were much more powerful. So for me, there are two questions that get asked when you're watching a play. Often the first question is, what the hell is going on here? What is this all about? And your brain tries to make sense of what that is, and whether you're successful or not, I suppose, is linked to your enjoyment of it. So there's a search for meaning, is it? And as I said earlier, when you go to the theatre, there's a crossover between your own, where you are in your life and your thinking, and what it is that you're seeing up there, because we don't just watch it and are detached from it. It's part of us and we're part of that. So this sense of audience and stage for me is a very interesting interaction, particularly of young people's work. And another question that often gets asked, particularly about young people's work, is, well, who created this? Where did this come from? Is this from the participants, or is it from the teacher stroke leader who's telling them what to do? Or is it a combination of both of those things? And I had the feeling here that it was a combination of both of those things, because here we have a director who is enabling the cast to put their own spin and their own ideas in what they're doing. Of course, the great thing about the director or the leader is that they bring their own experience, their own life experience, their own theatre experience to the situation and deepen the work of the young people. But the young people, if they're having the opportunity to open their own eyes and ears and feelings to what is going on, often have much better ideas than the rest of us, don't they? We older people, what do we know? They often have ideas that can astound you. So I thought this was a good example of that kind of a play, where all these ingredients are mixed together and are brought to one place, and I thank you very much for it.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Carol, are you here? Oh, there you are. Yes.
Yes. What to say after Kevin? I fully agree with that he taught you the shadow theater. Yes, only one thing. I agree with the necessity of subtitles for duo boy and girl, because without it, it's only half of the performance. It was very interesting for me that it is sometimes in contrast with the shadow theater I will see on the stage. For example, they told us about dragons, and on the screen we see that it were Vikings, or I don't know, or they taught us about the future of Kretinga, and on the stage we see that the fear about the future, not only that Kretinga will have millions of inhabitants, etc. So it was a new measure for me, new dimension, as I understood the text of these two. So yes, even me, I didn't see shadow theater on such big screen till now. Very interesting and very good work with, for example, with height of persons. For me, it was very good, and with subtitles, it was not only, and I'm glad it was not only illustration of it, but it added something to tales they taught us about Kretinga. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol. First of all, Auks, I love your jellyfish. Start by saying that. It was a fantastic jellyfish. Well, tell us a little bit about your group and how you worked. Is it so, like Kevin felt like it has been a collaboration between you and the young people?
And at first, I want to say thank you very much for all theater groups, for theater group from Malaysia, for theater group from Latvia, our friends Vinis, and for theater groups from Russia, because it was so big pleasure to see your performances, and I had a great time when I looked through these performances. So good luck, and thank you very much for all of you. And about thank you for the comments, and of course for the organizing committee that you choose for so different performances. It's so nice to see different styles, and it's big pleasure too. And now about shadow theater. It was our experiment, because we work like drama theater and do all the performances like drama theater. But 3 years ago, we had our town Kretinga celebration, and we thought what to do new, something new, interesting for children about our theater, about our town. And then we did short, only 15 minutes performance with maybe 4 fairy tales. All the fairy tales is created by children of our theater. It's, as you understand, it's not a written play. We create all the play by ourselves. But it was a really joyful period of rehearsals, and audiences said, "Oh, it's so nice! Please do more, do something more." And so we decided to do longer. We created a lot of fairy tales. We had a really joyful period of rehearsals. We laughed. We feel many good times through our rehearsals, and after such a times we joined now, as I remember, 9 short fairy tales. And the main aim of our performance is to tell some facts of our town to children in new way, so that it would be interesting and joyful. And after the performance, they know maybe 2, 3, or if they know 9 facts, it's super. So thank you very much. I don't know what to say else.
No, it's nothing. You don't need to say anything more. Thank you very much. I have one question which most of you, whichever of you can answer, but most of you have chosen historical place or place that are stories from the past, which is interesting since all the performers are young people. Is it something? Do you think it's hard to find modern plays for young people that are good?
Yes. Difficult.
Yes, I agree with Auxe. Yes, this is hard.
So there's a lack of something in the world.
No, maybe in our languages, maybe there are many in English or I don't know where, but somehow maybe it's an idea to exchange with them. Maybe in Russia there are many, I don't know.
Well, thank you. It's clearly something that needs to be considered. Maybe that could be something for the future to consider. Is there some questions? Is there anyone who wants to ask some questions for the group or for Kevin or Carol? No? Everyone is very content. Yes. All right. Well, then I'll ask you another question. We are going to move over to the discussion about International Children and Youth Theatre Festivals after COVID. But do you need a break before that? No. Okay. Then if someone needs one, then you'll take it yourself. So the next topic is basically what will happen after this. How do we continue with the children and youth work in theater after COVID, and how do we see the future, and especially also considering festivals. And a first question is, do you who are here that represent a group, how do you feel about traveling with your group? Is this something that you would be comfortable with, or do you feel like this is something that will have to wait for a long time in the future still until you feel safe? Auxe says you would be ready to travel immediately.
Yes, we also.
Yes, for Malaysia, if there is an invitation, we will go. We will travel.
With big pleasure.
Yeah, true.
Well, then,
a great pleasure.
Well, then at least it's clear that I guess the world is opening up, even if it's been slow, but it's happening. We have here today, we have received some written responses from both Toyama and and some other events about how they feel about this situation. But we also have Nils Hanrath here, who will talk a little bit about how Lingen sees the whole thing. Nils is the vice president of BDTA and artistic director of the World Children's Festival in Lingen. So Nils, could you open up a bit? How have you thought about this with the future?
Well, yes, I'll try to. First of all, hello to everybody. I'm speaking to you from the northwest of Germany, very close to the Dutch border. And I'm very pleased to be here. So thank you for the invitation. And also I want to say thank you to Ella and the team of the AITA for making this possible, this online festival and this online exchange also. And I want to say sorry for all the groups. I didn't manage to see your performances, not one of it, but it is my fault. And after hearing all these interesting things about your performance, I'm very much regretting it. So I couldn't see them. Yes. What is there to say about the future of our festival here in Lingen? We are in a little bit lucky situation because when the whole COVID thing started, we were very quick to think about, oh, what will happen to the festival, and so we and also we kept contact with Toyama, which should have hosted the World Festival of Children's Theater last year, and then there was a postponement to this year. And so we decided for us, it would make sense to postpone it to 2024. That brings us in a little bit lucky situation that we are very optimistic to apply for hosting this festival and being able to host the festival in 2024 here in Lingen. The decision had to do with with the fact that we thought one core point, one very, very present point for this festival for me is to get together, and the people, the kids are stay in host families during the festivals, and all this would never ever be possible during a pandemic. So for us, it's very good that we postpone it to 2024. And I think I'm a little bit optimistic that this will happen in 2024. A little bit, I'm a little bit, stressed because here in Germany, the numbers of COVID is rising a lot at the moment. And today, our government had some new rules for us, and nobody understands them yet. So we have to wait. What does this mean in the future upcoming days? So nevertheless, I think for me, it is no question that after COVID, we do have to have festivals, because kids and children suffered a lot during this pandemic, and they are still. And for me, it would be I have no idea what would the next festival will be like, but for me, one of the main parts is we will find a way. We have to find a way to keep this working alive for the kids, and and of course, we all learned during the pandemic times that we have some great things about technical stuff, and for me, the question will be, how can we use them as an addition? Because for me, it's not. So I'm very glad. I'm very grateful for everybody who's doing online festivals to keep in touch, to keep the work alive. But for me, it's not a real alternative. And the main part for me for festivals will be, how can we get this together? How can we interact with it? How can we use the times between festivals? How can we think about easier accessibility? That's a hard word in English, for the participants. And how can we use the good things about all the technical stuff we are forced to to cope with during the last months, and how can we add this to the festival? But the main point for me for festivals, and not only during COVID, is how can we keep festivals alive? How can we get kids together, and how can we make them understand each other's cultures, because that's aside from the pandemic we are all faced with. If I look at the headlines in the newspapers or TV, I think this is more needed, and it's also a task for us. How can we manage to get this, keep this going? So yes, that was a little bit like from the beginning. Yeah, maybe so much for this, for the first.
Yeah,
if that's okay with you.
absolutely. I start by saying that you still have time to see the performances, so don't worry there.
Okay, I will.
So since your interest was piqued, now you can go and check them out after this.
София, сори, я бы хотела попросить слово, хотела сказать несколько слов и поблагодарить, и, ну, во-первых, да, Саша, переведи, пожалуйста.
Sophia, I would love also to have a word and to first thank everyone.
Я бы хотела поблагодарить Нильса за согласие сегодня принимать участие в нашем форуме, потому что на самом деле Линген – это город, в котором родился когда-то этот потрясающий, замечательный Всемирный фестиваль детских театров. Я была в Лингене на этом фестивале несколько раз, и это говорю не понаслышке.
First, I would love to thank Niels that you accept our invitation to participate in the forum. And I want to say that Lingen is the city, like a cradle of the creativity, where this world festival of the amateur theaters was born.
И я уверена, пройдет ковид, и снова фестиваль этот заявит о себе на весь мир.
And I'm confident that as soon as the COVID era will end up, the festival will start again, and the whole world will come and see and experience the festival.
И я еще хотела попросить Александру, чтобы она прочитала мое небольшое выступление по поводу того, как живут детские и юношеские театры в России в период ковида и после ковида. Если можно, у нас, я думаю, есть время, несколько минут, занять ваше внимание.
And I also would love to ask Alexandra, to, on Allah's behalf, to read her speech about how theaters in Russia survive in COVID time, if we have time, if you agree and we have enough time for this.
Absolutely, please go right ahead.
И Александра Мануленко – это моя коллега, она генеральный секретарь Российского центра Аситеш.
Alexandra is my colleague, she is the Secretary General of Russian Center of Asitesh.
Пожалуйста, please, Alexandra.
On behalf of all, I will read the text. It's rather concise. I will try to be clear. Good evening, dear friends and colleagues. The pandemic has changed a lot in our lives. For almost a year and a half, we have been existing and living in a remote communication format. But I am happy to know that during periods of the corona case, when the corona cases were slowed down, in some regions of Russia, the festivals were held. Children's amateur group came, and this was such a happiness and a true joy for directors and for children. And this wonderful atmosphere of meetings cannot be expressed in words. This is because communication is important for children and teenagers. Movement is important. It is important to splash out your energy and not store it inside yourself. For them, the theater is a great opportunity to realize their creative abilities, to fulfill themselves as persons. In Russia, at the very beginning of the pandemic, when rehearsals were banned, it was forbidden to perform. The directors felt to be lost, but many very quickly realized that it was impossible to remain idle. We need to find a way out. Musicians, pianists, violin players, and others should practice music every day, and young artists should work on their skills every day as well. Zoom came to rescue us. Some artists remotely filmed and edited small musical mini performances. They turned out to be wonderful movies. We had a wonderful experience of organizing online contests when children read poems, except from prose, monologues from plays, recorded with the help of adults and most likely parents, and sent to jury. Such an online competition was invented and implemented by the director from Krasnoyarsk. Our theater union of the Russian Federation posted information on its websites, and many theaters followed and sent links to the recordings of the actors' performances. There were more than 100 of them. The expert committee reviewed all the videos and selected the best ones. Young artists have received diplomas. It was a real celebration of children's creativity. Of course, online festivals and contests cannot replace live communication. We all understand this well, but they helped children and youth theaters in Russia that have their own traditions and really interesting productions, like drama theaters, music, dance, clowning, and others. Yes, I know we had the days when it was impossible to attend schools. It was impossible to rehearse, which brought a negative impact on children's theater groups. But the theaters did not die. Some of the children left the groups, but this is not a very large percentage. Teenagers' dependence on the internet has risen. Relations with the parents has become more sharp. Children have lost the habit of books. They disappear in the internet, where you can find anything that is sometimes not at all useful for children. Therefore, the task of theater directors is to look for and implement new intensive forms of work with children, to look for an interesting repertoire that would interest children and teenagers, would become an incentive for classes in a theater group. It is very important to help and organize studies and exchange of experience between directors who work with children. We have organized a number of online workshops for theater directors on directing, on scenic voice, on finding material for the stage, organized several meetings with the playwrights, acknowledged artists from professional theater. Interesting online bridges between some Russian children's theater and their peers from other countries were held. These bilateral meetings have become for them a powerful charge of energy, creative dialogue, and tolerant attitude towards each other. This year in Russia, we managed to hold several offline festivals of children's and youth theaters: Theatrical Crossroads in Yekaterinburg, Theater Games in Moscow, Under the Sun in Krasnodar, Attraction in Krasnoyarsk, Theatrical Zavalinka in Moscow region, the Festival Campus Theater Village in Izhevsk in the Udmurt Republic. They were held with the financial and creative support of our union. Everything was real, adult-like, with discussions of performances and masterclasses on scenic movement, acting improvisation, scenic voice, contemporary dance, acting, which were conducted by professional specialists, theater pedagogues of high theater schools in Moscow, St. Petersburg, and other cities of Russia. We held an online roundtable for directors of children's and youth theaters. Many directors from various regions of Russia took part in this meeting. From it, we learned about the situation in children's and young theaters today, what problems directors are experiencing today in working with children. It became clear how important it is for everyone to meet, talk about their work, share their thoughts and experiences, support each other in difficult times. I bow low to everyone who works with children, who opens up the world of theatrical art to them. The children's theater is living and will live no matter what. I'm confident about it.
Thank you so much, Alan.
Thank you, Alexandra.
And thank you, Alexandra. Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So how has it been for, I mean, if we look back a bit before we start thinking forward, how has your work with children and youth been during the pandemic? Have you been able to work with the groups live? No, none of you? How was it in Malaysia, for instance? Have you been?
No, it was difficult, really, and it's you cannot make theater on Zoom. I'm sorry, you just can read or talk about, but no, it's not. So we used summertime when it was open. Then we met and we worked, but winter time is more difficult. Yes, now in Latvia also very strong restrictions.
Thank you, Inguna. And
can I jump in and just agree?
Absolutely.
And say, for me, you have to be in the room when you make theatre. You need to be in the rehearsal room, or you need to be in the room where the stage is and the audience are. If you're doing it via a digital camera, you are removed from that room and your feelings are entirely different. I've seen this in the work of many young people and teachers here, and what they have done is they've turned inward with the camera and created a very clever way of learning about how you use cameras creatively, but that's not the same as a live theatre. And I think most of us educators know that the most important place for their training and their understanding about how to learn about theatre happens in the live room. That's all I would say.
so after hard restrictions, when you have been able, like Inguna said, in the summer to meet and start again, did you see a change in the young people? Was the situation, was the feeling exactly the same as before COVID, or were there different? Was there a difference in the young people?
For me, yeah, that's quite hard to answer, because maybe I just tell you something about the situation. We had a very long lockdown. Then we opened up again in summer, and what I noticed, and also the colleagues I'm talking to and working with, what I noticed is that the youngsters, the kids came and were in the beginning very shy. What are we supposed to do? Oh, we have rules. We don't have to touch each other, and then it changed a very lot, to be very grateful, to be very energetic, and you could realize that they really love the platform they get, the place where they can interact in real life, where they can do theater things, and so and when it became like that here in Germany, we had the next lockdown, so we had to close everything again. And what we tried to do at the TZ here was we just tried to keep the contact, because I totally agree with Inguna or Kevin. We started to do some experiments also, but the main part of our work and being online with the participants was to keep in contact, for not losing them. So and now we have a situation, we were a little bit afraid, and there were also discussions, will they come back after this long period? And what we realize at the moment is, yes, they will, and they do it with a lot of power, and also there are even more of them. So and that's very good. Also, we have in the TPZ, we work a lot with together with schools, and schools come like crazy because there are a lot of funding programs in Germany for kids, for cultural things at schools, and the telephone keeps ringing, the mails keep going in, and yeah, but now we have the next level. I don't know what this means. We have very strong restrictions. We have to do this because it's rising like crazy at the moment. But I'm not sure what this will mean for the next time. And in Germany, just one sentence for that. In Germany, politicians, maybe it's in other countries it's the same. They are very talented to write down things you cannot never ever understand. So we have some written down rules we have to follow, and some of them are okay. I know what this means, but some of them, and my whole day today was like being on the phone and mailing and WhatsApp with colleagues from other institutions. And what does this mean? Does this mean kids can't come? Does this mean they have to wear masks or so? So we will see what the future brings. But in general, I really agree with Ella. Thank you for the words, because I think children's theater will and has to survive, and we have to find ways that we keep it like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Niels. Yes, Auke?
Can I say in a short way about situation in Lithuania? When we were locked, we tried to keep in touch through the Zoom queue, and all the group we did different projects, and we talked a lot because teenagers wanted to say something to friends from theater groups, to me. I wanted to, so it was more psychological connection, not theatrical connection. And in June, when our quarantine stopped, the first rehearsals was so sensitive, so joyful. Most of them with tears in eyes. We can be together. We can do something together. We do not so a lot. We only we are together, and we laugh, we jump, and we were so crazy. And now we work again like theater group normally. So I am happy, and I hope that our government will not say stop doing and go at your homes. Solve situation.
Thank you, Auke. Anyone else want to? Yes?
Okay.
Malaysia.
In Malaysia, just like other countries, from the live theatre, we
changed to
online theatre, but we also had a long lockdown, and on that time, thank you to Google Meet. So we did practice using Google Meet, and it's real bored, but the children made it. And when we open up on 5th to 7th November, last 2 weeks, we held a live theatre with full of SOPs.
With audience, with live audience.
Yeah, with audience.
But the auditorium capacity of auditorium was 500, but we can have only 100.
Yeah, 100 100 people.
Yes. But lucky you got to
Yes,
perform at
lucky.
least for someone.
Yeah.
Do you have here in Finland, we have had a situation also that in between, after when the lockdown was there, of course, nothing is happening. But when we open up, then suddenly there's incredibly much happening because everyone who has been planning something tries to put it all during the same time. And suddenly for the young people, there is like an overload of events that you could participate in. Have you had that sort of feeling?
Much like yourself. I was going to say much like you did. So.
Mary, would you
Thank you very much.
mute your microphone, please?
Welcome to breakfast. The craft beer. I know a bit about it.
Yes. Has there been any other things except you said keeping in contact has been one of the most important things but has there been anything other that you have found useful or that could be something you take if this pandemic, if worse comes to worse, then this is we have to fight with this for a long time. Are there other things that you have learned that you will use in the future or that you can share to each other?
Maybe we
Okay.
just oh sorry.
Aukse, will you start then, Niels?
Maybe I want to talk about one project because I think it was interesting, which we did some projects, but this one is interesting for all our town. We have many parks in our Kretinga city, and in all parks we have many wooden sculptures, interesting and old sculptures. And everybody goes through the sculptures and see nothing because it's so. And at this winter time, we created fairy tales for the sculptures. We made the audio records. We made QR codes and put on the sculptures. So now you can go to the park and listen audio records with fairy tales from our theater group's members. So I think it was good.
Yeah, it sounds like a fantastic project. Wow, very nice. And Niels?
Yeah, what maybe just one short thing. What we also tried to do was to the idea behind that was if they couldn't come to us, we get something to them, not only online. So what we did was we had some boxes. For example, we have a department for circus also, and so we packed some boxes, and they could take it like a takeaway and take it home. And we also told them, okay, use your imagination and do if you want, just make some films of it. Or we tried to give them exercises on this. Or one very small project we did I really liked was a colleague of mine. She recorded. She read out a fairy tale, recorded it, and sent it to the very small kids, and said, okay, maybe you can do a picture book of this. Maybe you could ask your parents, your relatives to take some photos and get back the pictures to us. And then she made a real book and brought it to them when it was happy, because that was possible. So one-on-one, just delivering the book. So that was one of the things we did, just for a small example. So
I can just say that we had a drama pedagogue here who actually loved teaching on Zoom, because she found it so fantastic that she could change the background and she could create this kind of environment through changing the pictures, and she was all excited about it, which was a very unique situation, because most of of the people who work with children, youth and theater have been completely fed up with this, but she was energized and thought this was fantastic. You could create all sorts of worlds with these pictures. So it's very different how this is perceived.
Add to that, Sophia.
Yeah.
One other thing that I've noticed is that some young people who are at the back of the group, when you're in the room, when you're on the Zoom, they come out of themselves in a very different way. And so this experience has had different effects on different young people, some of them very positive, obviously some negative, but I think that has to be said. So how you then take them back into the room and empower them with what they learned by being out of the room is a moot point, but I think it's interesting.
Yes, absolutely. So future festivals, how do you think future children and youth festivals, live festivals, will look after this? Do you think there are changes to how we do it compared to how it's been done, or what is your feeling? No thoughts about this? Yeah, yes.
Yeah, in the long run, I think most of us will be maybe will be a little more traveling, and so for the next time there will be some fears remaining, but in the long run I hope festivals, especially for children, are as powerful and colorful as they were. But as I already said, what I find very interesting is how can we, if we talk about meeting up with people all over the world, how can we use the positive things we learned, take with us as an addition for the festival things we have. So this is something which we are here in Lingen are thinking about. We don't, of course, we don't want to do an online festival if it's possible to meet in real life. So yeah, we're thinking about how can we gather the points, how can we take them, and how can we also artificially aesthetically use it. So yeah.
And what you what Kevin also mentioned already, in a way, the online way of working also opens doors for some kids who are not able to attend physically.
Yeah.
So that's also an interesting thought, that how can we use what we have learned here to broaden them.
And maybe it could be an idea to get things together. If I think just there is an upcoming festival and maybe a German and Russian group can work toward it online. So each other, and then online, and then get to the festival and put it together, whatever. So this thoughts I have about this. Maybe this could be real advantages.
So is the general feeling about the future, are you positive, or you feel like we're getting there? Hauk says absolutely positive.
I think we
yes,
have. I think we have
positive.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ingona, yes?
Yeah, I think it will continue. Just time to time we can do something on Zoom, and then we will come back, because I really don't want to live theater, like real theater, to die. I think we will go back and do things whenever we can.
Definitely. At least that is the dream, and that is what we all hope for. And the greetings from Toyama, they are, as we know, going forward with the festival, and the application is still, if I remember correctly, it's still online. So if you have performances that's possible to be sent to Toyama, then remember that they are looking for place at the moment, and they said their greeting was that they weren't able to, as we know, they had to postpone, but they were able to arrange a festival locally, but with extreme security measures. It even said that they banned, for instance, talk during lunch, that you were not allowed to speak in order to keep the pandemic from spreading. So there was quite harsh measures had to be done. Yes, is there anyone else who has thoughts on the future or wants to share at this moment?
София?
Yes.
София, если мы заканчиваем уже форум, Сашенька, переводи, да? То я бы хотела сказать вот два слова.
Sophia, if you are like on the way to soon close the forum, I would love to tell a few words as well.
Absolutely. We have, yes, we can.
Просто сегодня заканчивается у нас программа детского театра. И, как вы знаете, господа режиссеры, которые присутствуют здесь, что наш фестиваль не конкурсный, а все театры получат дипломы. И я хотела попросить Анне Гильмур показать один диплом, а через, может быть, завтра и через несколько дней Аня Гильмур отправит вам эти дипломы на ваши имейлы. И я думаю, что это останется такая хорошая память о втором международном онлайн-фестивале любительских театров «Театр. Любовь моя».
Yes.
As you all know, today we are closing the children's program. And as all of you, theater directors know, our festival is not competition. Every single theater will receive diploma. So I would wish Anne to show how diploma look like now, and afterwards, all of you, everyone will receive this diploma. We will send it to you by email. And it will be a good memory for this second online amateur theater festival, Theater is my love.
И я хочу сказать, поблагодарить всех режиссеров за участие в нашем фестивале. Была рада увидеть спектакли и Ингуны, и Ауксе, и Зурайды из Малайзии. Спасибо вам огромное и творческих вам успехов. И до новых встреч вживую. Уже не хочется встречаться в Zoom.
Yes, I also want to thank all the theater directors for your participation. I was really happy and glad to see the performances of Inguna, of Auksa and Zoraida. Thank you so very much. And I wish you creativeness. I wish you good luck. And to the next new meetings, I hope in person.
И, конечно, огромное-огромное спасибо всему нашему экспертному совету в лице Софии, Кевина, Карла. Спасибо большое всем, кто сегодня принял участие в нашем форуме. Нам нужно говорить о жизни детских и юношеских театрах, потому что какой детский театр, такой и любительский театр в стране, какой профессиональный театр в стране, такой и любительский театр в стране. Я вас всех обнимаю. Вы делаете великое дело. Спасибо вам огромное.
And of course, I want to say the words of my great thankfulness to all the expert committee members, to Sophie, to Kevin, to Carol, to all of those who took part in our forum. I think we have to speak about the theater for children and youth. We need to speak how we live, how we survive, because how the amateur theater look like is how the professional theater look like, and vice versa. So my greetings and my thankfulness to you.
Спасибо, Алла.
Thank you so much, Alla, as well. And,
Балдес.
Спасибо, Алла.
Спасибо.
Thank you,
Спасибо
Alla.
всем.
and
Love you.
do you succeed, Anne, to share it, or?
I'm going to try. This could be
While
tricky.
Anne is trying to share the diploma so you all see what you're going to get, I will just remind you all that the opening, the adult festival is tomorrow, same time. And with the opening performance of, now I have to check the opening performance of from Singapore. So I hope we all see you there then. Thank you so much all for attending. We're seeing if Anne managed to, otherwise you'll find them when you receive them.
Yes, I'm struggling a bit, I'm afraid. I shall, if I do, I shall try something to see if this
Yes,
works.
it looks good. You're sharing the screen now.
Right, can you see the diploma?
No, we can just see that you started to share the screen.
Но, Аня, если есть проблемы,
Now we see it, yes.
все замечательно.
Very well. So this is a picture of the diploma that you will receive. And as thank you for participation in the festival. We're so thankful that you all could participate. And I'd like to also, I'd like to thank also Kevin and Carol for joining here today and for giving the feedback to all of you. And I think you can stop sharing now.
Yeah.
So everyone sees each other in the end. So thank you all so much. We hope to see you all live soon. Stay safe and take care of all of yourself. And maybe we see each other tomorrow.
Bye.
Yeah, see you.